James, you ready back there?
We're ready.
That's a yes?
That's a yes.
All right. Is that really the thing? No, that's my. Where's my
That's your
wooden thing?
coaster.
Where's my thing? Ah, it didn't sound right. What a start to the new year. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Arts Commission regular meeting. We'll start with a roll call, please. Liaison Alameda.
Note the four commissioners are here, and we do have one vacancy.
Okay, is that good enough? Would you lead us in the pledge, Carl?
Everyone to stand up and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your hand over your heart and begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Public comments. Anybody out there going to talk to us? I'm going to acknowledge we received a public comment by email from Valerie Friedman about agenda item 6A, and we have noted that and accepted it, and we'll put it into the records. Anything online, Carl?
There are no public comments.
All right. Quickly, consent items. It looks like we have October minutes, and I'm not going to say anything other than that. So if you can remember back to October. I took a look at them. Did anyone have anything? No.
No.
You guys want to take your time? All right. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Now the fun part. We're going to ask Commissioner Steiner to introduce our speaker.
Oh, great. Thank you. So I'm delighted to introduce Lila Glasgow Francese, who is the president of the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation, which is a contemporary art foundation here in Ojai that's done very good work. I want to specifically call out the good work that the foundation has done in terms of being a fiscal sponsor for other organizations. So in addition to the display, the conservation, the education, and the outreach that the foundation does, it also supports other foundations in their missions. And so thank you for that. One project in particular was the jail project last year, which was a roaring success. It got national and international coverage, and thank you for that. And we look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for this great turnout. We have a huge audience, and we look forward to hearing from you. Please.
We have slides, yes.
Yeah, so it'll be controlled in the back, so if you want to advance it, you can just ask for the next slide.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So, thank you all for having me speak today about one of my favorite things of the past 8 years, which is the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation. It's named after my sister, Carolyn Glasso Bailey, who was an art dealer and an advocate for artists. And when Carolyn died, 38 artists who were actually pretty well known came forward and said, we want to extend Carolyn's voice after her death so she can help other artists as she helped us during her lifetime. So my brother-in-law, Chris Bailey, who's in the house, and I started the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation as a nonprofit. We felt there was a need for it in the Ojai Valley because there were so many different kinds of art, but there really wasn't something that focused around contemporary art, which was the genre that she worked in. Next slide, please. So a lot of people say to me, what is the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation, or as we call it, CGBF, a little easier. And what about the Ojai Institute? So both of those things are on our front window at our space on South Montgomery Street, the section of South Montgomery and Willow Street. So the Carolyn, next slide, please. The Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation is situated in downtown Ojai. It's a 501c3 nonprofit arts organization and gallery space. Open on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, CGBF proudly showcases contemporary art from both emerging talents and established artists. Our foundation is dedicated to champion fine art. We provide our community with a public space to delve into diverse perspectives through visual art, literary performances, and arts education. We celebrate the synergy of visual art with other forms like music, spoken word, and the culinary arts, fostering a rich palette of artistic experiences for our supporters. The Ojai Institute is our artist residency program. It's an initiative of CGBF that extends the dialogue between artists and the public through free exhibitions and programs in our Ojai space. Next slide, please. This is one of my favorite pictures. It's from when we first began. The CGBF offers arts education programs for youth. This is Cub Scout Troop 52, and this really always remains in my mind when we work with youth groups in the valley. These boys came in, they were doing and they went to Porch Gallery after, I remember, but they came in to learn how to go into a gallery and look at art and how we talk about art and what our manners would be, how we use our eyes, not our hands. And after this picture, they came and sat on the sofa, and I said, who in this group has been to a museum? And one of them raised their hands. And I thought, you're kidding me. We're an hour and a half from Los Angeles. We're 40 minutes from Santa Barbara, where there's great museums. And one of these kids had gone. And I said, where did you go? And he said, I went to the Denver Museum. I said, oh, well, that's a great museum. Who did you go with? He said, my grandparents. So I thought that really demonstrated the need for this community, in my opinion, to expose children. And this young, up till, college students, young people realizing you could have art in your life, you could have a career in art. One of the kids said to me, well, can you be an artist for a real job? And I said, you can. And he said, what if you don't have any materials? I don't have any paints, I don't have any crayons, I don't have any markers. And I said, let me tell you about a contemporary artist named Hassan Sharif. So Hassan Sharif makes things out of metal. I was recently at the Guggenheim, this was back then, and there is a whole castle built out of couscous. And the kid went, couscous? And I said, yes, because that's the material that he had to build a sculpture. And so that's been really rewarding for us at CGBF to see these kids develop, and we'll talk more about that as the slideshow goes on. Next, please. Local artists are great mentors for local kids. There's beautiful Ruth Pastine, who's here tonight. Ruth was our first artist in residence at the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation, and it was actually like when we were kind of starting to shut down, and it really gave her time to concentrate on new work. And you can see her quote there says, my residency created an auspicious opportunity outside the parameters of time to conceive and evolve new works. The experience opened doors in my process, advancing the development of a new series, which was really fantastic. And local artists, we welcome them so much at the foundation. One thing that we do that's really special when we have donor events or our galas is when people can't come, they'll say, oh, we're out of town. We say, will you buy a ticket for an artist? So then we can have artists there that are within our community that can come celebrate with donors, but they haven't had to pay for their ticket, which is really fantastic. And I also want to say that the foundation, well, we'll get to it. Hang on, I'm gonna hold that thought. Next one, please. Okay, this is last summer. So one of the greatest things now about being open 8 years is the kids that we had relationships with are now in college, or some of them are out of college. So this is Teddy Nava, an Oak Grove graduate who is the director of Basic Premise Gallery in Ojai. He helped mentor in a program at our foundation, Siren Clayton, who we had known as a young kid. And Siren was home from Willamette College and said, I'm an art major, and can I intern at the foundation this summer? So we said yes, and one thing that we wanted Siren to do was have an idea. What do you want to do artistically? How do you want to fill your summer? And Siren said, I would really love to get my cool artist friends that are also back in Ojai for the summer, and some that stayed here and went to community college, to do a show. So Siren is trans, and Siren decided to have the queer pop-up. Next slide, please. Queer art pop-up and poetry reading, and it was such a special, special event. Next slide, please. These are the artists on the left who are Siren's friends that performed. Some did photography, some did painting, some are watercolor artists. And then we had poetry readings as well, which we see live on the right. That's the crowd that we had that day, which was just fantastic. And these kids had a really great time, and it was so fun to see their art that they had made in 6th grade then evolved to be, what are you making at 20 or 21? And a lot of these kids come back in the summer and they're like, can I just look through your art books? So you can see those shelves of books there. We are slowly collecting a contemporary art book collection. So people can, read about Ed Ruscha or Ai Weiwei or any of these great artists that can influence their work. Next slide, please. This is the current show at the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation. I want to say it's a great drive-by opportunity at night because there's just one light on this through the window. So one of our main things that we like to do at the foundation is bring really exemplary art to the Ojai Valley. So this is an artist named Hugh Steers who passed away in 1995. This piece is huge, and it is a piece of art that most people could not afford. Most of Hugh's work are in museums. It was loaned to us by his brother, Burr. We are not in the business of selling art. We're in the business of bringing art for the community to experience. So this whole show is actually mostly just on loan from private collectors and Hugh's family. There's also a video of my sister interviewing Hugh that you can watch when you come to the foundation right now. It's his last interview. He did it about 3 weeks before he died, actually. When Hugh died, the New York Times did a huge article on him and his work. He was only 32 years old. His work, he is looked at now by many as just the best depiction of the AIDS era that happened, that an artist painted and created. But he said, I don't want to be remembered as an AIDS artist. I don't want to be remembered as a gay artist. I want to be remembered as a humanist. His paintings are really, really special because you see their transformation. He was not hospitalized for AIDS-related complications until 1991. So we see sort of shots like this, which are pre-hospitalization, and then we see pictures of him being ill. One of my favorite ones in the show currently is one where he's dying in a bathtub, and I believe the character in that painting, but art is interpretive, is with the back turned is actually Hugh's mother, and she's leaving money on the table. And my sister loved Hugh's work because she said, when you experienced Hugh's paintings, you felt like you were dying with him on the canvas. And that's the kind of art we like to show at the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation. Art that makes you feel, art that makes you take the journey that the artist intended for you to take. So if you haven't seen the show, please come by. It's open till February 23rd, and we're open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Next slide, please. Okay, I wanted to tell you some recent contemporary artists that have shown with CGBF. One is Aaron Spangler, who's in permanent collection at the Walker Art Center and the Carnegie Museum of Art. Gianni Whitehawk, who was the Whitney Biennial Artist in 2021, one of them. She's also in the permanent collection at Crystal Bridges, actually right next to a Mark Rothko, which is pretty amazing. The Whitney Museum, and she was recently named this year a MacArthur Fellow, which is massive. Gianni Whitehawk is, and I won't talk about all these people, but I do want to point her out because to me she's a prime example of what we do as a foundation. So I went on a trip to Minneapolis to look at artists because our foundation gives art prizes. We give one to a national artist, but we also give a small one to a Minnesota artist because that's where my sister and I were from. And we believe that that's a city where a lot of great upcoming artists are making work, and we want to continue to support that community as well. So Gianni Whitehawk had a community center called All My Relations, which is still open, and she built it for just the Native American community in Minneapolis who was interested in being an artist or creating art. There's actually been some really great artists that came out of there that this was a whole new world, but it's just a couple blocks from the Walker Art Center, so it was the perfect place to do it. So we heard about Gianni. I went to see her art. I was blown away. We named her our Minnesota Art Prize that year, and we helped her make work to show at her first show, which one of our board of directors helped her get at the Kemper Museum in Kansas City. Alice Walton saw that piece at the Kemper Museum, and that's when Alice bought the piece for Crystal Bridges, which then changed Diani's career. Diani is now in many, many major collections, and as you can see, and actually the next time you go to the Whitney Museum in New York, she has been commissioned to make all the art for their new cafe. So that's a Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation success story, and I actually go back and see her every time I'm in Minnesota. I just saw her last summer, and she's just the most wonderful woman. She came out to Ojai. She spoke to students. She came to our gala. She talked to donors. She's really loves our organization, and she loves visiting here. Cameron Patricia Downey is another artist that we worked with. She's up and coming, very young, just out of Columbia, but has a fantastic future. Porfirio Guterres, who is the current show at the Chinati Foundation, again, an artist that we found that was considered like just a textile artist, more decorative, and now has become a really fine contemporary artist and is now in big collections. Sarah Rosalina, who is a fantastic woman, also a professor here in California. And then Kelly Akashi, who just won last week the 2024 MoCA Distinguished Women in Arts Award. We have a 10-year deal with Kelly Akashi that she comes and brings us a new piece to put on display in Ojai every year for our residents to see. Next slide, please. CGBF partners with Bart's Books for art and Arthur Talks quite often. So this was an author we had here this year. She wrote a book called Painting Can Save Your Life. Her name is Sarah Wooster. She works out of Brooklyn and upstate New York. She was fantastic because not only did she come and give a talk there, she had a workshop at our foundation, and out of that, Ojai's first painting club started. So she inspired a painting club in the community, and she loved coming out, and I think Sarah will be a regular visitor to Ojai. Next slide, please. CGB field trips. So upcoming field trip is Freeze Los Angeles. We always like to take people on a little shuttle, and we've gone to the Broad, we went to the Marciano when it was open, and our next field trip is the Freeze Art Fair, where we go to the VIP preview, and we get to walk through, and we get to have a day or two of a big city experience for anyone in our community that wishes to go with. And those will continue. Next slide, please. Upcoming CGB happenings. Actually, this show is going to open a little later than that because of Freeze, but Women Making History is going to be curated by Tiffany Lendrum, who lives in Ojai part-time and in LA part-time, and it's going to be a group show honoring Women's History Month. We will that month be screening a short film. Ruth has again agreed to be our guinea pig, and she was our first resident artist, and now our first film that we're producing is on Ruth Pastine and her work. Ruth came to us as a local artist, as many local artists do, saying, I have a solo show coming up at the Weissman. Can you help me raise funds for a coffee table book for the show? And we said, of course we can. So we're making this little film. Ruth has a big following of fans in Kansas City, where one of our board members is too, so we will be sharing the film with that collector group and also screening it in Ojai so everybody can see it at the foundation. We also are going to have an art talk this month, Artists in the Shadows, with my friend Carolyn Bennett, who gives this talk all over the country. That's going to be Friday, March 15th. And it's a really great show, a really great talk about women who were fantastic painters that were kind of forgotten in history because they were women. So those are two nice things coming up. Then we have P. Lynn's solo exhibition called We Speak. P. Lynn is she actually just kind of retired and left Ojai, sadly, but she's lived here for many years, and she's a ceramicist, and she does beautiful work. She is in many collections of some famous friends that apparently she was a teacher for once upon a time. But she's got a really cool history, and it's going to be in correlation with the Ojai Music Festival, Will Thomas's Black Barn Sessions Soundwalk. So she has had her show scored with the help of Will Thomas, and they're going to do a sound walk that opens in May, and then we're going to have the foundation open during the music festival. So if people go to morning concert series, they can go grab a coffee at the Duchess, come to the foundation, walk through our sound experience with P-Lin, and then, go have lunch and then have their later in the day concerts. So we will have extended hours during the music festival for that. We love when we have synergy like that with other things happening in town, and we actually already have a resident artist going to Minnesota with an opera singer from Ojai. So an Ojai artist and Ojai opera singer who are developing a collaborative work for spring of 2025. And that'll happen next fall. The May Gala we do every year. The date will be, is still to be determined, but this event honors artists we are currently supporting. This year we're changing it up just a little bit since we are, for the first time, sending our art residency artist out of state. Those funds will support her going to the Nemeth Art Center, which is a Midwest art nonprofit organization that's just fantastic. They had a group show called Cross Country at our foundation last year, and now we're going to go bug them. So local artist Stephanie Washburn, who's also a professor up at UCSB Community College, is coming, is going to be that resident artist, and she will be creating work this fall at the Nemeth that will be displayed in the spring of 2025 in our space. And finally, this year, the student show, which will be on in July. We have which it will be facilitated with the help of our 2024 student intern, who's a junior at Oak Grove School, Danielle Jowls, and she's gonna learn she's really interested in going into arts administration, and she's gonna learn how you do a studio visit, how you select work, how you select artists, how you write show notes, help artists write artist statements, help artists learn how to hang their show. Those artists then speak about their show, and that will close out our summer before our break in August at CGBF. Next slide. So final slide, because that's a really long talk, but just thank you, Ojai, for ongoing support. I'm just amazed at how many friends and donors are here tonight for us. It chokes me up. But the CGBF fully relies on donor support to support our programming, our artists, and their incredible contributions to our cultural landscape. So thank you, and thank you.
Please, Lily, just hang on for a second. Anybody want to say something or ask some questions? I want to know who all these people are. I want to know who all these people are in the audience. Did you want to introduce anybody here?
Oh gosh, well, Michelle is our associate who works in the gallery. You can see her on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
I introduced Chris, my brother-in-law. That's my husband, Dines. We have the Porch Girls, who we miss Porch, but they're here to offer their support. And I see some local artists in the audience. We have Gary Lang and Ruth Pastine and Rowan, who's a big art collector, and just so many people. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, and thank you. I'm not surprised at all that you have such support. In fact, I think we could fill this entire room times over for all of your supporters, because the work you do is so wonderful. And I've learned some things about your programming just from listening to this. So thank you. Does anyone else want to?
Well, as soon as we've got some artists in here, the Arts Commission historically has been seen as an inhibitor to art in this community. Yes. Over the last few years, that has been slowly changing. It has now changed. So moving forward, we'd like to be a vibrant part of your community and help you in any way we can. So please don't be afraid to hunt us down on Facebook, on the street, in the coffee shop, or here at the meetings, and tell us what you're thinking and how we can help you. That's our job, and we want to do it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
I'll just maybe add or tie things up here to thank you. Your Arts Commission is a part of our local government. Everyone you see here is a volunteer, and we have put together a strategic plan to try to help artists. Our community is so unique in that we have such high quality and organized artists and arts organizations across all the spectrum of art. But because we don't have a university here or a huge budget like a big city would have, it's hard for everyone to know about what's going on. There's no center for that. So we're going to try, and our plan as much as we can is try to just be a hub or a conduit to connect our community with what with organizations like your foundation, so that we can be a source for education, for fundraising, for cultural understanding, so that people can come to us. And we're going to try to do it on a technological way too, so that it'll be available to anybody in the community. But I just want to thank you and your foundation and bringing these wonderful artists here and supporters of art together. So I'm glad we were able to say your names. You're not on camera, but this is part of the public record too. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for sharing your foundation's story.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for all you do.
Okay? Yeah. We're taking 2 minutes here.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great session together. Well, you know what? I've been practicing a lot, but I feel like I'm not quite there yet. All right.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
You did.
One song, rehearse, you know.
Y'all are welcome to stay for the sausage making.
No, it's in our place. But the guy kind of fucked it up a little bit. Yeah, you damn did. Maybe. But wait, Lila was like, we were like with Dick today, it's like, you know what, Ruth's gonna look at this and she's not gonna be impressed. We gotta bump it up now. So just so you know, you're the line, it's a CGBA.
Yes, and don't you forget it.
Anyway,
Wonderful
thanks you
to
guys,
see
this was
you.
really
Thank
wonderful.
you.
I certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk about our
Great to
foundation.
see
Thank
you.
you, Chris. Thank you, Ruth.
Bye, Chris.
All right, good night,
Okay,
guys.
lovely to see you all.
We're going to move on to our
Where's the Purell?
action items.
So are we back in? You want to gavel us back in?
We're still live. What you looking for? Oh, you're
Purell.
Purell.
Sorry. I'm standing in the
Bunch of dirty artists. You're on, so. Commissioner Steiner's going to give us a update on our Cura project.
I think I will turn that to Carl.
Sure, so this is the assessment of the public art that the commission awarded this past spring. So been in touch with the group, and they are tentative to have a kickoff meeting here with Commissioner Steiner on Monday, the 29th at 9:30 a.m.
And Commissioner Grau as well.
in Pamela Grau. So that was an available time and date for them. It was. I confirmed it with the two of you, and I've replied back to them to confirm it with them, but I've just not heard back. But I would presume that that's going to be moving forward on the
Great.
29th. And then, depending on weather, they're anticipating that it would be done within a couple weeks, unless we have
Great,
crazy.
that makes sense. And as Commissioner Grau mentioned in the last meeting, we spent a great deal of time this summer going through the contracts, the binders here in City Hall, and have refined the list, which goes in part to Commissioner Freeman's comment. So the list is slightly different, refined, slightly smaller from the original list. And so we are confident that that is absolutely what we want Cura Art to do. And if there are any elements that are missing, because there is an ongoing maintenance obligation under the statute, we in fact can capture those in another year, as we're going to keep this maintenance cycle ongoing once we sort of catch up from all the deferred maintenance. So I think that addresses any concern there may have been, and we'll get that squared away, and that's great.
Will we know, I mean, do we have to wait sort of for the first meeting? I'm looking for an estimation of completion. Do we have anything?
Yeah, so she's assuming they're going to start shortly thereafter that kickoff meeting. So ideally, if the weather is perfect, it'd be the first 2 weeks of February.
Okay, good.
But keep in mind, it's a multi-step process. So they'll have to do the inspection, do the inventory, write a report. The report will come to us. We can assume that some things are going to be in good condition, and some things we're going to need to discuss in terms of what happens next. And that's going to be a commission discussion, and then presumably a city council decision about how to go forward, unless there are instances where the maintenance is the responsibility of the owner, because then we simply have the city write a letter saying, fix this. But I'm getting ahead of ourselves now, so
Sure,
it will
sure.
be multi-phased.
Yeah, I guess I was really asking more on the concerns of the budget cycle and all, and make sure that, because we have the funds allocated through the Arts Commission to do this, I just want to make sure we have in our contract and everything the ability to take care of that during this fiscal year. That's all. I was just,
Yeah, it shouldn't be a concern. Things have been done a little differently with respect to budgeting, but typically if you have an open contract, it's re-budgeted. You encumber those funds, it would carry over to the next fiscal.
okay.
Great.
All right, good. We got caught a little bit last year. Okay, I'm going to move on if I can here, and this is my item, and everyone has a little, it's about our strategic plan here, and if you will, I thought it's a year since we all got together and worked up a strategic plan, or a 5-year plan, and we're not required to, change anything, but I wanted to kind of go down the list, because, so what I did is I took this spreadsheet, which is online, and I printed, what you have there is, should be 6 or 7 different pages. So I opened up grants, education, technology, public art, communication, and commission health, so that we can review them, because I had the budget item next to it too. I want to make sure that we plan on this fiscal year to especially because we have a smaller commission than we started with, that we can move things ahead, and the council was very supportive in granting us a budget to do this stuff, and let's just see where we are. So I thought, unless someone had a better idea, I was just going to go through each of these pages and kind of go down, and then get a comment from the person that's kind of handling that area right now about.
I have a question.
Yes.
At the top, under the dates, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Are those quarters?
Those are quarters, yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
So it just, I think because you have health on top, you want to do that one first. So visioning, which we completed in our strategic plan retreat, fellowship was the intention of having events to make everybody get along. That was informal gatherings. Bios, yeah, that's something I have to work on. Pictures, we did get our pictures, name tags. Rosenberg Alternative, we're just talking about some more casual ways for us to conduct meetings. Budgeting was completed. Brown Act training, I believe we've done. Feature guests at meetings is going wonderful. Task division among members is what we're talking about right here. So this web design thing is something I had a budgeted amount for too, and I think you'll find some of that in the other categories as well. So we're gonna, I talked to James, Tech James,
Oh, James, huh?
yeah, James Hahn, and have some ideas of getting started, and I'm gonna kind of work on the website, and we'll be able to link other things to that. So I'm gonna take that personally. Youth Commissioner, we haven't done that, but, so that's in health. Does anyone have any kind of comments about that? I can move on to communication. Nigel, just sort of thank you for, you've been really picking up the slack as we've had needs here. Inventory of stakeholders, I think we've kind of shared, I know that we're working with the museum. We continue to, just, the idea was let's know who our stakeholders are in the community. City council, make sure our connection with city council is good. Community events,
Certainly doesn't.
yeah, right, well,
maybe watching.
I'm not really saying is this completed or not. I'm just reminding us all as we go.
I just have a question about communication because I feel like that's a little bit of a weak link right now. It's not anyone's fault. It's just like, how do we do better getting things in the newspaper, getting things in
Yeah.
social media?
Well, I think
I had
just,
a lot of people come up to me and said, "Oh, I missed
Yeah.
the presentation," and
yes.
I thought,
Yeah,
well, we
yeah.
had it posted and we had it up on.
good. Well, as I just, I'm really just going down this list
Yeah.
to do exactly what you're responding to, Pam, is for us to like, get excited about things
Right.
again and make them happen and help each other to make that happen. The website, of course, now you see the website had a budget item too. So we have some money to spend on any technology that we might need to have some of these things done. Revamp, what would we revamp? Oh, that was the website revamp and maintenance, yeah. The understanding that to have a good, healthy website, it's not a one-off thing you do and then it's done. It's really more about being a living thing. Media, we had talked about a newspaper column or, just a regular thing with our local print media, strategic alliances. Nigel, I know we went to a chamber meeting together. I think you go to all of them too, but other service clubs, other commissions. We've connected a little bit with the Parks and Rec Commission there too. I have a call, I'm planning to meet with Luis next week, in fact. The Planning Commission, there's Chamber of Commerce, other cities. That was something I was thinking about, because I met someone at a gig that was telling me about the Ventura Arts Commission, and just, we don't even know who they are, Ojai Valley Museum, we've certainly connected with them. That's, I think, why I put an X there too, to do presentations. We have awards which we can or may,
Before we leave presentations, I just want to say how successful I think that is in terms of getting the word out about us. Today was
Yes.
a perfect example. Last meeting was as well, and the meeting before. I think it's really, really great.
yeah, great. It's nice that
People know us, we know
that we
them.
have, that we together came up with a plan with these ideas. Now it's kind of in a plan, and now we're actually doing these things and seeing the value of them too. And so I think that the process, again, is just, I'd like having a plan. I always have. Economic impact report. Oh, we did that in that little, remember the little thing that we handed out? I think we said 50 million or so, art tour videos there or something, Nigel. Okay, do you want to comment anything on that page, Nigel, just since it's your area?
lot more that I need to get done.
Yeah, well, it's not like you have to do this list either. It's just really fertilizer for, and a check-in after a year. Because that's what drives us here, too. And it's, public art is next. And we talked about master plan. Kappa is where we'll get an update on that later tonight, where that needs to be. Inventory and appraisal. We were fortunately there. That was the big budget item there, and maintenance inventory. Hospital, we took care of. Collections inventory. So that's a repeat. City collection assessment. And then the big one was that, let's continue to remember that our goal is that in our 5-year plan, at some point, we're going to do something important, impactful, major installation in the community.
But, I think the plan was really continue to grow the fund so that at the appropriate time, we can have a major installation,
Good.
not that we would do a major installation.
Right.
With the appropriate work.
With
Right.
the appropriate work at the appropriate time, right.
You can sort of think of now where this thing ends in 2027, really. It sort of ends in 2028 now, so it's important for us to see these things and they don't need to be done in the, first quarter of 2024 either. But just a reminder of where we're at. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, so certainly the maintenance obligations, we are well on our way with the Cura Art agreement. One point I mentioned last week, last meeting, was how we address copyright in our agreements, because many of our agreements take, quote unquote, the copyright from the artist, which is contrary to norm and not what we want to do. And Carl, I know that Smitty had, and we know how busy you are, but Smitty had requested sort of a grouping of the extant agreements so we can take a look at this current state of play so that we can determine the adjustment for that.
Which agreement?
Any of the public art related agreements, to look at the copyright sections. So we should turn our attention to that, copyright, sort of straightening out our agreements. And then the other issue is the formula for
Yes.
determining the dollars under public art. And
That's what I didn't see that.
yeah,
or
I'd like
maybe that
to
was
bring that up again when we get to item number 8, future agenda
Okay,
items. I've been
good.
doing a bit of research on that.
Good, thank you. I'm going to move on to technology, which very little has been done other than, well, I think a big step was having our plan sort of living and out there too. We need to do a lot more, and we have some money budgeted for an online presence. We've been doing okay, just kind of slamming Facebook and some of the media and for our events, and we need to work on the public. Why is funding for maintenance here? Oh, maintenance of the technology, online database for all the art. That was an interesting thing. Okay, education. Pamela's been doing a great job with the enrichment seminars. Pamela, you've been getting such great people, and people are volunteering. So let's make sure that we're not shy about spending our taxpayers' money that's budgeted here for the education. So remember last year we got caught with a little bit of money left over that we should be using in education. So keep an eye on that.
I have a question for you. Because right now, our agreement with museum, I assumed, because I thought, oh, we're doing such a great thing, we're bringing people into the museum and everyone's so happy having this done. It actually is not so great for the museum because they feel stressed out in the production and staying some extra hours. And I'm wondering either, they say we can do it quarterly, but could we use some of the funds to give back to the museum for staffing, or is that?
What to think, that might be tricky, I don't know if it's gonna be a funding thing, but that is city-owned too. So it's sort of a circular
Right, no,
thing
I
there,
know.
so we need to be careful. But you just made me think of the Glasso Foundation.
That could be a good place.
As a, let's look, we can combine this with our kind of communications in the community and find other venues too. And I'm sure that,
Because I have a lot of people who would be willing to come. I mean, I had them all laid out, and then it was like, oh,
yeah,
not so soon.
yeah.
But I think it's
And we have to
really
work with
awesome.
our, they have one paid staff person over there, so they're very busy, so, yeah, good creative thoughts, because we do have a budget for education, so, continue to do that. Arts Center, Arts Center, I meant, that was the big one, long-term, is that there'll be like remember, a physical space in Ojai where all the arts kind of come together. I think that's what that means. Public and, there looks like some school partnerships were ideas on here. Artist and institution inventory, I know we've done some work on that. A vocational program, so this would be like an educational thing that was more gear. This was the old, like mentorships and that type of thing
So
too.
it's interesting, I was called into Nordhoff to speak with Kate Hoffman, who's looking to put a series of artists, professional artists together to come in and talk to the kids and have the kids go into the studios.
At Nordhoff, did you say?
Yes, so that's in action right now with the Open
Yeah,
Studio
and there's
Arts.
money there too, so.
Okay,
So if we, in the past, we've used that as some stipends for artists, for job shadowing, and the mentee, protege, is that the word? Nice, all right. Grants, now, we've had the big turnover, well, I should say, Valerie having left. A lot of this was kind of her plan here too. So, but I can just say in general, and there were some things on here as to repeating grants, micro grants, that type of thing, that crept into some of the work that you were doing this year too. So, Nigel, I might just, I might just, for now anyways, just say that most of these were about communications, technology, getting the grant process online. I've actually done a little bit of work with Carl on that, and we do have a budget for that as well, some money for that in here as well, so we can get some help. Committee was a wonderful committee. I like how we're involving people to do our work. No one here, I think, is killing themselves, nor should they. Okay, funds, blind grants. Oh, here's communication website, reporting, presentations, those were nice. Follow-up. They will be, at the next council meeting, correct me if I'm correct, Liaison Alameda, but it's at the next council meeting next Tuesday that they will review our recommendations on the grant request. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I'm at the meeting to do a commission report, just, I think, because it's a important time where taxpayers' funds are flowing to the auspices of the Art Commission and right back out to the arts community.
And I'll plan on being there with you as well in case there's any questions about that from the council.
Consent calendar item,
Yeah, we could all be there.
discussion item.
Sure, but during but I'll do a commissioner report up front.
Yeah.
And just sort of mention, you guys have this consent item, but I want you to
Be aware of what.
be aware that a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and it's the most important
Do
thing
you
we
want
do.
us all there?
If you're invited, it's public.
That's the 24th?
The
23rd, Tuesday.
23rd. Let's all be here.
Bring your
Sleeping
Banners.
bag, pillow, your pajamas.
yes. Okay. So that's all I wanted to do there, is just refresh everyone's mind. There wasn't really any action on that. Next year, I think, is that what we do, like every 2 years, we redo is that?
Every 2 years, what?
we redo the 5-year plan? Is that- Yeah.
That's essentially it.
So as we go on, if we see omissions or errors, we can put that in the record.
It's going to be relatively self-correcting at this point anyway, I think.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
with the refining.
Yeah.
I thought that was a worthwhile exercise, though. when
Absolutely.
everyone's here, and it remind the public
Absolutely.
if they're watching of what we say we're gonna do, all right? Commissioner updates. What are you gonna do, Commissioner Steiner?
So, thank you. So, Public Art, the Cura piece we talked about, in terms of CAPA, that's going to be scheduled at some point for the El Roblar. That's next, you'll be speaking about that?
Yeah, I was just gonna give
Give an update, great, great. And I think that's it in terms of my update.
Okay.
I will have something under future agenda items, so you'll circle back with me.
Commissioner Chisholm, you got anything to report?
Just to inform you all that I'm still in communication with the City Council regarding the health of the Commission as we move forward and what we're trying to achieve at this point, and moving into the next phase of our evolution. So they're fully aware of it, what's happening. And I've communicated with Smitty about that prior to any communications with them as well. So there's a message going out there that we all stand behind.
Thank you. Commissioner Pamela,
Hi.
tell us
Well,
what you did.
we had a
Waiting on cement.
we had a really wonderful presentation yesterday at the museum on art legacy. Yeah, what was it? Tax and dying, or death and taxes, the inevitable.
Estate planning and taxes, right.
For creatives, and it was really good. Everyone, I mean, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who attended who were really impressed. I think we had about 37 people show up. All the chairs were filled. Christine presented, and Dave Neville, and they were both outstanding. I recorded most of it, but my camera died right in the middle, so I was then moving around. I'm not sure what to do with that, but it's a good record. I'd like to do more, so I'm going to see if I can find another venue to do some more things, because I think these enrichment programs do what we saw tonight. Brings the community together, brings individuals together. It creates a really sweet feeling in town. With all the divisiveness and the things that we feel it, the city council meetings and all this stuff. I'm not going to go into details, but it's nice when the arts have a way of bringing us together as a whole. And that's what I'm focused on. Also, Nordhoff High School, is giving me an opportunity to find mentors and match the mentors and students to put together. It's not a commission thing. It's not but as an individual, as an artist in town, I've been asked to do that. What else?
Pam, I did have a thought when Lila was talking about the intern. And that is, if any of the high schools have, let me back up and say, I'm going to need some research support for this whole public art formula thing. And it would be the ideal sort of project for a student intern to work under the auspices of the Arts Commission. I would certainly oversee this person.
I can get that together.
Let's do that, because I
Okay.
think, especially for a young person, what a great opportunity to dig into a fascinating topic.
I'm on it.
Oh, perfect, and then,
And the Youth
and I'm s-
Foundation is still in existence. I know that former council member Wyrick is, I think, on the board of that as well, too. So there's already a connection between city and the Youth Foundation, I'm talking the Ojai Valley Youth Foundation. It's sort of headquartered at Nordhoff, and they have a program sort of like
Vocational?
for work, vocational
Vocational.
program.
Well, I know that during the Ojai Studio Artist Tour in October, kids got extra credit for going on the tour. But,
There you
it was free, and so they came. So, there's different ways of connecting and making these relationships with the
Good,
students.
good. And you have a budget for that, too. Me,
Can I just jump in for a second? Carl, does the city own any camera equipment that could be utilised to record these
We do.
meetings at PAM? And would the city allow
For the
That-
seminars, you
Them
mean?
out
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
events?
would the city allow would a city staff member be required to use that, or are they happy to?
We'd have to have probably an offline discussion on what that would look like.
Yeah. Can we have that conversation? Because I think it's clear that there's a lot of attendance there, which means there's a lot of interest at large. It would be nice to get that stuff up on the
Be on
website,
the
I think.
And I was gonna say, people are asking, well, can we see it online?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Not yet.
So I'll reach out to you and see how we go about doing that.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
You know, the only thing I worry about with monthly is whether we'll get audience exhaustion. So,
Could be every other month.
it could be every
So far
other
not.
month. Yeah,
I
so
mean-
far not, that's true. Well, but you know, people always worry about legal stuff. But coming up is going
Do
to
more.
be appraisals and how you value your art. How interesting is that for people?
I think
So maybe
attendance,
every other month.
yeah, attendance fatigue probably sets in when the topic is relatively similar every month. If the topics are dissimilar,
Yeah.
then you're going to hit different demographics too.
Karen's been great at that.
Maybe
There's been a great
concurrently with
variety.
Cura, when we're looking at our public art, is it time to offer education about our public art in the community when things are getting tightened down anyways, and we may have some Cura speakers or something too, so.
You might want to hold a seminar on what the Arts Commission actually is.
So much of them for so little money, I don't know. I don't think that's fair.
Okay, but health, technology, strategic planning, that's what we're doing here right now. So I don't think I have anything else other than what I mentioned, the council meeting. We have a new liaison. Well, actually, council person, Rachel, I forget which council. Yes. She, we sort of thought we had her, but she was doing it in conjunction with Souza. So she may be here. I don't even know. We'll see when we call on her later. Let's move out. Yeah, future agenda items. Anybody else?
We do need to get the awards taken care of, so I'd appreciate if we can put that on the
Okay.
agenda next time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll get
You're on
everybody
it.
the information they need.
Yeah,
Awards.
we have a couple of art awards we can give in the community. Did you say you had something, Christine?
Yes, I do, thank you. So I'd like to kick off the discussion, because I think it's going to be a multi-meeting discussion about the formula for public art. So I'd like us to start that. If we can do that at the next meeting, I can provide some introductory information, and then we'll get our intern to dig into some facts of how other jurisdictions do it, and I think we'll come up with the right answer for our community, which I think we are all in agreement is currently out of step with the norm.
We're talking about the assessments or the allocation for the public art
Yes.
fund that comes from commercial development
Development
over
projects.
$600,000 in the
Right,
community.
that is correct. Correct. And-
Yeah, and if we need I can imagine interest in the community in that very thing from some of our art leaders. So if there's any need for a committee or
Right.
ad hoc committee, it might.
Might be art leaders, but also developers, and we want to be sensitive to this, because we want to make sure that it's a win-win for all, not that it's
Yeah.
seen as a levy that's added to a project that adversely affects developers, because
Sure.
that's the last thing we want to do. So we want to make sure that we discuss it fully, that we understand the background, we understand the norm, and we understand where we as a community want to be.
Let's put that on the agenda, and if you feel like we may need a ad hoc committee for that. I could see a planning commission member might be interested in
Might be.
participating
That's-
with that.
Right, that may be where we go with the discussion, and probably at some point we would want a staff report as well, but again, I think this is going to be a multi-prong process, which is why I want to sort of tee it off soon. And then my other point is the one I raised earlier, which is copyright. So after the enrichment seminar on contracts and copyright, where we addressed with the community the importance of copyright for artists, we certainly can't be so hypocritical that we as a community are then taking the artist's copyright. So let's look at those agreements and sort of do it once, do it right.
Okay. Do you
And
think
that's
you
all I
can,
have.
will you
Thank
be
you.
able to bring something, actually, do you think, like, for us to review?
Well, I
Because
think-
I'm not sure that we
Well,
have.
I think that's what you're asking.
Oh, but
Carl
that's
to
what we're
do,
asking,
right?
oh, yeah, to see where we're at.
Looking at those extant agreements.
Yeah. Great. All right, Carl, you have staff liaison report?
Yeah, so just to give an update on the arts grant programs.
Microphone, please.
So the current fiscal year arts grant program, as we previously discussed, will be going before the city council next Tuesday, January 23rd, at their 6 PM meeting. So that's to both approve a budget amendment to add the $400 to make the recommendations complete, and then award the, based on the recommendations of the Art Commission, to the grant recipients identified. So that will be next Tuesday, and as I mentioned, that'd be consent calendar, so it's not a discussion item, so if you were to address it, it would be during general public comment at the start of the meeting would be the appropriate time to do that.
And Carl, following up on that, do you think there's any advantage to having any of the prospective awardees present, or would it?
I think it could be interesting, just the meeting that they were at here was probably one of the most interesting commission meetings I've seen in 20-plus years. So many creative people in the room. That meeting might be a bit challenging. What I think might be a better approach is either at the Arts Commission and/or the City Council, if they came back and talked about whatever that project was as a deliverable and how the grant helped them. I think that might highlight the program a little better.
That would be great, and all of us will try to make that meeting. And perhaps when you speak, Smitty, you could urge the council to watch that meeting, which was our last meeting. That might be great, and if anyone hasn't seen it, that might be.
It was in
Oh, it was
November.
the November meeting. That would be great. Okay, thank you, Carl.
And then the CAPA committee, it's looking like the meeting for the review of the El Roblar Hotel and their public art requirement, which they're proposing a mural, is going to occur on February 1st, is the date that everyone seems to be looking at. We're just finalizing the time, likely be 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.
Yeah, don't forget, two of the CAPA members are here at the table, and I didn't hear the date.
Yeah, I'm hearing this for the first time. I am not available. With whom did you check?
Staff had emailed the CAPA group
We're
earlier
not
this
on the
week.
Kappa group.
I am on the CAP group. I didn't get
Okay.
anything.
Interesting.
And I'm not available on Thursday, the 1st.
And I'm on the CAPA group too, I didn't hear, so don't forget us, Carl.
Okay, yeah, it was, I had
So
asked
you
someone-
emailed?
I
Barbara
did not
Hirsch?
email it, but
Okay.
my understanding was it was emailed to all the CAPA members.
So, Susan Amend and Barbara Hirsch were both at the enrichment seminar yesterday, and neither mentioned anything about Kappa. So, will you follow up and find a different date and figure out what happened there?
There's five members, right?
There are.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's,
so just
right.
make sure they're all on that list. What else you
So
have,
it's
Carl?
Jamie Bennett, you, me, Susan, Barbara.
Yeah, I think there was probably a communication breakdown there. I don't think anybody got an email, did they? Did you see one, Smitty?
No,
No,
that's why.
and I didn't either.
What else you got?
In light of that very topic right there, we'll be looking at probably the next meeting or the meeting thereafter, you'll have a new staff liaison, because frankly, I cannot do this the justice it deserves or do it well. I've staffed probably over a dozen types of commissions over 20 years. And with the workload I have right now, I cannot give it the focus it deserves. So we'll be hiring a management analyst probably pretty soon that's going to be focused on some project-specific things, but will be someone a bit more seasoned. And then also a current staff member will also be working on it in tandem with that person.
I just read the newspaper, but is there a proposal for a new city manager? It's going to be reviewed Tuesday?
That's the plan right now. Is that would be Tuesday is what I'm seeing.
Okay. So that new person, I'm sure, is going to have an opinion about the organization as well, so,
Might.
yeah.
But even prior to that, just the internal workload of my position.
Of course. I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Well, Carl, we're going to miss you. I mean, you've been responsive, you've been collegial, you've done everything except that copyright thing. But truly, no, I mean, it's really been remarkable how much you've been able to aid us. And so I'm certainly sad, especially after so much turnover. So can you guarantee us that the new person will at least stay with us for a while?
Well, actually, yes and no. I think one of the people, yes. The analyst person, as it's planned right now, there's some bigger grant-related projects we're going to be dealing with. So the hire is looking to be a limited-term hire. That the person would likely be with us for 8 to 10 months. But this is, we're hiring at a level that would be someone that's had this type of experience before.
Great. Oh, great.
I think that would help with the transition.
Great.
Well, we have a plan, and we can move ahead with our plan without a lot of oversight. If you need to lean on, me, I'll at least say for anything you feel like
Yeah,
could
and
be.
on a related note, I've, not Arts Commission related necessarily, but really just public outreach and communications, website, social media is something that we're behind on. And I'm soliciting proposals from firms that specialize in that and looking to really ramp up our efforts on getting in front of things rather than being reactive on things. So I think there's going to be a whole lot more opportunities to be a lot more proactive to get information out there through different means that don't even exist now. Looking at doing community-wide newsletter that the city would issue, at least on a quarterly basis, our social media presence as well, and then pushing out information through electronic newsletters
Great.
on different topics.
Great. Is that something that sounds like something you initiated, huh?
Yeah, it's something we're definitely going to do. Who the firm is to be determined.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope,
Oh,
that's
thank you,
it.
Brian.
Any update on our vacancy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the city council had voted in the new commission structures. It took effect on December 28th. So as it stands now, to fill the vacancy, the new process is the chair of the commission and the mayor need to interview in conjunction with the city council representative for that rotation, which that's not necessarily the liaison. It's who's up in the order.
You confirm
on
that
a
person?
Vacancy, that you can look at previous applicants, and then those folks can be interviewed. So I understand that's underway.
Who is the
Yes.
council member now?
I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look.
And can those
Don't know,
interviews be scheduled, does this position have to be advertised, or are there enough applications in the hopper that we can proceed?
It depends. Some of the commissions have enough applications. If there's candidates there that are worthy, those can move forward.
And how about us, though?
That's my understanding is we do.
We can move forward.
There's other commissions that don't.
Great.
Yeah.
And
But
and
what
when,
will need to be advertised is if the commission, that's a future discussion, decides to go to 7, then
Yes.
that would need to be advertised.
of course. And when will
And I
these
saw that.
interviews happen?
I saw the mayor tonight, and,
great.
she's excited. She talked to a candidate, and Right, we just needed that third. We got me, we got her, and we just need that third
third.
council person, which she was not prepared to say who that was yet.
And how soon do we think that can happen? I'm sorry to
It's
be persistent
tomorrow.
about this.
Well, yeah, it's not a formal it's just conducting the interviews, so assuming that the final interview could take place, all intents and purposes, that would be in place by the next meeting.
The next meeting, meaning this upcoming Tuesday meeting?
No, I'm sorry, the next meeting of the Arts Commission.
Oh, well, but doesn't the city council have to approve the person? So I get, where I'm going with this is,
But,
we
yeah,
would really like to fill that last.
They meet twice a month, so that
I just want it to happen as quickly as it can. I don't want us to have to wait for another meeting with a vacancy when we have so much work to do. So what you're saying is it can't happen at this upcoming Tuesday, the 23rd meeting?
No.
So could it happen,
But what I was saying is the interview can happen at any time.
right,
Confirmation of the selected person would just simply be a consent calendar item, but,
but it has to be at a meeting?
yeah, but that would
Okay.
be,
So-
obviously, the next one would be
Would be,
prior to this meeting.
would be
It'd
February
13th.
6th.
Well,
February,
council liaison is council person Rachel, and I'll
You'll
push
vote
on
for it.
that,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
so
It's
so
not
then,
necessarily,
It's a council action, there's
it's not
nothing,
necessarily Rachel, though, that's doing the interview.
yeah, that was the point he made. It's a rotational
well, but she is
basis.
my council liaison, and this is their job to get us another commissioner, and so
Right.
I'm gonna push on that too.
But
And
keep
then-
in mind, it's not like they've been sitting on it. This just went into effect at the end of the calendar year.
No, we understand. So then if it can't be the 23rd,
And
then,
actually, the council rotation just got adopted at the last meeting. So the process went into effect and the rotation.
Great,
just
well,
got-
we're a good first project for them, so it
so
will be this
then,
one,
then if it can be the, well,
the fourth, the second and fourth, right?
The 13th is the
the
next regular
13th
meeting.
is the next one, which is 2 days before our next meeting. So if that could happen
it's a
on the
quick month.
13th, let's, that would answer my
Some
nightly
fresh meat.
prayer, certainly. We need a full
All right.
house here. Okay, thank you, Carl, for that.
All right, and is our council liaison present by chance?
Nope.
Okay. No, wait, commissioner comments, I see. Commissioner comments. I'm going to make a comment. I wanted to recognize one of our commissioners.
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at
Oh, I
you,
don't know.
Nigel. Boy, you brought me in, I say you brought me in. I joined the commission under your tenure as the commission chair, well, even before that, but during COVID, and wow, what a tough time to come on board. And then to transition what the commission was to what it is now, with our largest budget ever, our largest awards of grants to the community, a plan that we're moving ahead, but particularly in recognition of how you've been able to work with our council, and a council that has changed. Because we work for them, but you have made that case stronger than anyone I have seen from other commissioners about how important the Arts Commission is to the council, and how the things that are important to this commission to function healthily get done, and to the point where you tenured your resignation, and I think finally we got the attention that we needed. And I wanted to thank you for that, and I wanted to recognize you by presenting you with this cudgel that was produced by your fellow colleagues here, Ojai Arts Commissioner, Protector of the Realm. Here's your cudgel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. And that was turned on my lathe, and Pamela did the engraving, and Christine assured us that was
Patted
perfectly
everyone on the
legal.
back.
Any comments, Pamela?
You know, I want to mention that we have a beautiful new mural in town by Christopher Noxon. It's on the backside of summer camp, and our mural jury and everything went really smoothly, and it's really a treat. I saw it this morning when I went on my morning walk, and I thought, that's something. New art in town.
Functioning well.
Happened. Christine, you got anything?
And while we are complimenting our fellow commissioners, I want to compliment Pam on the enrichment seminars. I mean, truly, yesterday was really wonderful. I thought Dave did an excellent job. I mean, it was so informative for the community. And there was what must have been a full hour of Q&A of really thoughtful questions, and I thought it was just great. And without your initiative, and I know how difficult it is to organize things, so without your persistence as well, these things wouldn't happen. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Protector of the realm?
Thanks for those kind words, Smitty. I appreciate it. It's taken a lot of years, a lot of patience, many sleepless nights. But we are very, very, very close to getting to where we need to be. And I appreciate the support of the Commission in that. It's we're talking about the health of a Commission. And how one manages things. It's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time to do the right job. Mapping that out and then letting them do the job. We are so close to being there that I've got goosebumps while I'm saying it. So thank you for picking up the slack when I needed to step down and keep driving us in that direction. It's been incredible. The 5-year plan, I think, was wonderfully handled. And I know that you're a tech guy, so to have this in front of us is really fabulous too. If I could request that the printing is a little bit larger next time, that would be nice. So thanks for that. It's a bit embarrassing, but you know, we do what we can do, and hopefully we don't quit before we fall over. With regard to a comment, the only thing I would say is that it kind of upsets me to have 50 pages sitting in front of me, and there's 4 of us here. You've probably got one, so that's 250 pages of paper. So I don't know if you're required to print out these comments to us, or if they can just be sent to us via email, and so we can be a little bit more aware of the paper and ink that we're using, and do our little bit to save the planet. How does that go? Are we required to print it out and give it to us, or is it just a matter of course? So for me, I don't ever want to see this again. Not that in paper form. I'm happy to see this and read it, and there's valuable information in there as well. But I would much prefer that being sent to me via email. I don't know how anybody else feels about that. But we have talked about this business previously. And I think this is just the manifestation of what we shouldn't be doing. That's not an insult to you in any way, shape or form. It's just how function is in government. I understand. I'm used to working it for many years. So that's the only comment I've got to that. We're going to miss you because you're wonderful. And I hope this city benefits from you sitting in an office somewhere in these buildings for a very long time to come. You do an incredible job.
Thank you, Nigel. And with that, and one more thank you to the Caroline Glasgow Bailey Foundation people, Bailey Foundation people and artists that were present here tonight. Thank you very much. So this meeting is adjourned until our next regular meeting, February 15th. Thank you.
Thank you.